Why, hello, everybody. My name is Derek, author webmaster of Gematrinator.com, a website which has not been up the entire month. So, it's been about 3 weeks or so since I've done a live stream. Earlier in December, I discussed taking a break from looking at numbers. I've spent a fair amount of my free time posting, looking at numerology, measuring dates, trying to spread the word about what's going on in this world. And big thanks to everybody who jumped in real quickly on the chat. Usually it takes a longer time for you guys to trickle in. So, just want to say again how much I love every one of you who stop in and discuss this stuff with me because, hey, as someone who has associated a bit of their identity with this, I don't really have anyone in my personal life who is as excited about this information as I am. I try to talk to people about it. Some people are interested. Some people think it's kind of interesting, but most people don't, and that's just the reality of it. So, thanks to everybody again for jumping in. God bless y'all. In this video, I want to talk a little bit about real life and what this numerology business really is. Long story short, I started making videos back in December of 2016, picked it up in 2017, up until the point where I got my channel deleted in February of 2018. And on the left side of my screen, you can see my blog here. And part of the reason that I've been so slow to get work done lately is because my website's down all the time. And this isn't referring to the copyright strike. Notice here on the left side of my page, these are my most frequently visited websites. And here, number 2, Gematrinator.com, it so frequently gives me an error when I go to the website that it now shows 500 as the default page title. Because usually when you click it, it gives me a 500 internet server error or something like that. And of course, oh, look at this. Gematrinator blog working. Gematrinator.com working. But if you've been trying to access the website with any regularity, you've seen constant problems with it. So real quickly, let's discuss the numerology of my website being taken down because there are numbers there. And before I get into this deeply, I just want to say, yes, the copyright strike was technically legally legit. Yes, they gave me fair warning to remove the image from my website. However, it was sent to an email address in Yahoo, one that's not associated with my Gematrinator.com account. So therefore, I did not see the email in time. I did not respond in 2 days, and they took my website down. But even so, it still happened by the numbers. Now, earlier in 2017, my YouTube channel was deleted. And the post here was made on 2/24. I'm trying to figure out if this was the date. My YouTube channel was actually taken down on the 22nd. I didn't post about this for a couple days. But it was the date 2/22. 222. And this is a number that, sometimes we talk about, order out of chaos. One of the Freemasonic mottos, order out of chaos, has gematria of 222, but I didn't really pay attention to it. Big deal. I mean, my brother has this gematria in his name, 222. By the way, my brother, he asked me about numbers one day and said his favorite number is 2. He doesn't know why his favorite number is 2, and I typed his name in here, and his name sums to 222. And when he asked me, it was 2 months, 22 days before his birthday. So this is going to be a little bit of a topic of the video, too, is how strong this organic matrix is and what we're really living in. So anyways, I thought, okay, 2/22 is when my YouTube channel was deleted. That's unfortunate. Well, here's the error. Trying to open up my date calculator. This is just the quality of my site. So yeah, 2/22. Well, in the past couple weeks, my website got taken down. And this was on the date January 12th. January 12th. Think about how the 12th of January is written internationally as 12/1. Copyright equals 121. The date here in the United States is written 112. Sandy Hook equals 112, and it was an image from Sandy Hook that got my website taken down. Remember, Adam Lanza, born on April 22nd, the shooter in the Sandy Hook hoax, born on the 112th day of the year. Every media outlet tells us he weighed 112 pounds. So an image of mine gets taken down, or gets my website taken down, and on the date that it occurred, check this out. It was exactly 222 days after my birthday. So I thought, man, that seems like it might not be a coincidence. And then I measured to Sandy Hook. Look how many days Sandy Hook was before my website was taken down. 2,220. Another 222. How is this possible? You know? So I did do a post on this and just discuss this little 222 numerology, why it was taken down on the date it was. It's really interesting stuff. I am going to be checking in on the chat, by the way, throughout this video. I'm going to try and communicate with you guys a little bit more so than I usually do. Thanks to everyone for the kind words. And Gematria Pioneer, Bobby, thanks for dropping in the links to the Discord. I do want to remind everybody that on the website, if you go to miscellaneous, the first link is a Discord chat. And the Discord server is always hopping. Let's bring up the full screen here. I've recently sliced this up into several different channels. We got 63 people online. There's been well over 1,000 people who jump in here regularly. I added new categories: news by the numbers, sports, deaths, organic matrix. And this chat is usually going all day. There's always someone to talk to. There's always something to bounce some ideas off of. I've been a little critical of people in the chat in the past just because of, so many people are focused on the next disaster. And what I'm trying to bring to light with this Gematria knowledge is the truth about how our reality is operating and the evidence that points to the fact that there might be a God who is actively in our lives. A lot of people think that time is an illusion, that our lives are predetermined. I won't go so far as to say that. However, there is something very strong that's kind of guiding us through our lives, so to speak. And I did an organic matrix post a couple weeks ago. This is in regards to the death of a pro bull rider. And, last year around this time, I might have made a post saying, the ritual sacrifice of Mason Lowe, a bull rider. But this guy was stepped on by a bull during competition and died after the event due to his injuries. So by no means do I believe that this is like a ritual sacrifice or that this is some kind of murder by numbers, but something's going on by the numbers. And when I read about this guy's death, the first thing that stuck out to me is that there were only 2 other deaths in pro bull riding history. And I say pro bull riding, I'm talking about the organization that has these events and runs them. So I looked up the other deaths, and what I found is that Mason Lowe, the guy who died this year, was being compared to Lane Frost. Both of those men died at the age of 25, and they were both very successful. I guess the third person who died wasn't so famous, but these 2 were. So I was like, I wonder if they're numerically connected, and it just pops out like crazy. First of all, both of the men died at the age of 25. They were both killed by bulls, and it's interesting that death equals 25 in the same cipher, bull equals 25. Both men dead at the age of 25. Lane Frost died in the year 1989. It says standard birth numerology, but this is actually the date he died. 7 plus 30 plus 89 equals 126. On January 15th, we saw the death of Mason Lowe, whose name sums to 126 using the reverse alphabetic order, and he died exactly a span of 126 days after his own birthday. I guess what really drives me nuts about this is that the numbers of masonry are so heavy in this. And granted, the name of the man who died is Mason Lowe, so I guess that would make sense. For those of you who might still happen to be new to my work, I'd be surprised if you are. I know this is kind of advanced numerology, but a quick look at the 4 base methods in Gematria. the practice of coding numbers into words. Again, when I first started studying this, I thought it was all conspiracy. And yes, there's still a conspiratorial element to this. However, I'm much more awake to the organic matrix, so to speak, that we're living in. The fact that our lives are all coded by the numbers, and someone along the lines discovered that these ciphers are very relevant to our real lives. Well, I also show the Jewish Gematria cipher on the right side, based on the Latin alphabet, modern English characters placed at the end. And these are big number ciphers that result in much, much larger numbers than the ordinal methods, based on ancient Hebrew Gematria. The word Mason in Jewish Gematria sums to 211. And the bull that killed Lane Frost was named Taking Care of Business, which sums to 211. And the day he died was July 30th, the 211th day of the year. While we're on the topic of 211, ritual human sacrifice equals 211, alphabetic order. But back to the word Mason. Notice how in the reverse order, Mason equals 73. Lane Frost died on July 30th, which is written 7/30, like 7-3. Mason Lowe died in the year 2019. Lane Frost's full name was Lane Clyde Frost, which sums to 219 in the reverse alphabetic order. If we just look at his common name, Lane Frost, let me just pull this guy up on Wikipedia so you guys have a little visual of what I'm talking about. Lane Frost, pro bull rider, died at the age of 25 in 1989. Lane Frost equals 110 ordinal and 133 in reverse ordinal. Look at the birth numerology of Mason Lowe. 9 plus 12 plus 19 plus 93 equals 133, just like Lane Frost. And the date September 12th leaves 110 days on the calendar. Lane Frost, 110. Lane Frost, by the way, died in Wyoming, which sums to 83 and 43. Mason Lowe died in Colorado, 83 and 43. Also notice the 133 that they share in their birth and name gematria. And what if I told you it gets even weirder? All right? Let's look at Mason Lowe. Mason Lowe was born on October 12th, 1989, which means, Lane Frost this was. Talking about the first guy who died. Lane Frost died 74 days before his birthday. The word Masonic has gematria of 74 and 38, just like the word killing. Lane Frost equals 38, and he died 74 days before his birthday. In the reverse alphabetic order, the word Masonic equals 115. Mason Lowe died on the date January 15th, written 1/15. And if you measure from his most recent birthday to the date he died, it was 4 months and 3 days. In reverse reduction, Masonic equals 43. So this is all pretty weird, but what about Sumerian gematria? This is the cipher that's based on the number 6. It's the alphabetic order times 6. In Sumerian, Masonic equals 444. Well, isn't it interesting that Mason Lowe was born exactly 4 years, 44 days after Lane Frost died? So all of these numbers in Masonic proving to be relevant to these deaths. It's so weird. The last thing I'll point out, seeing as we're talking about Masons and Freemasonry, in the alphabetic order, Scottish Rite of Freemasonry equals 325. Professional Bull Riders is the name of the organization that held this event. They summed to 325. And the event at which Mason Lowe died in was called the National Western Stock Show, which sums to 325. So, what's going on? What's happening? I mean, are they... I want opinions from the chat. What the hell is happening on this? Are people somehow enacting magical spells to get animals to kill people? Because I'm pretty sure a few thousand people witnessed this man get killed by a bull. So how is this all possible? It's so crazy to me. And I put this post in the organic matrix section. I did not put it in murder by numbers. I've made it pretty clear in the past that I don't think all these people are dying or are getting murdered. I think many of these people are just dying by the numbers because that shit happens in my life. People I know died by the numbers. But if there is a dark side, so to speak, to this craft, then perhaps this is how we're witnessing it play out, so to speak. Now, whether or not that was an organic death, if there was something more to it, I'm not sure. I can just run the numbers and show you guys that something very strange is happening. Now, an event that I do not believe to be real is where they just seem to jump the shark with the numerology. It's almost too obvious, right? Just this past week, there was a mass shooting at a SunTrust bank in Sebring, Florida. And when you look at the date numerology here, it's very clear that it ties into the city and the name of the bank as well as the name of the shooter, just like they always do. So to start, I just want to point out the 1:39 update time, which is actually still on the article, 1:39 a.m. Eastern. Sebring, Florida, using the alphabetic order equals 139. And when you go to Sebring, Florida's Wikipedia page, they even list the elevation at 139 feet. And don't tell me that this is always the guaranteed perfect elevation. This number can be fudged and is fudged by the numerologists who are running Wikipedia. The shooting occurred on a date with standard numerology of 43. 1 plus 23 plus 19. Sebring equals 43. Sebring, Florida also equals 403. Remember, killing equals 43. And on the date of these killings, it was a span of 4 months, 3 days after the anniversary of SunTrust Bank's initial charter. And again, all of these false flag incidents related to not just the name of the shooter and the name of the bank, but also the date that that establishment was founded. Also, local politicians, the dates on which they took office. These are always relevant. But here's what's really interesting about the number 43 in this case. Check out the number 191. If my website ever wants to work, I need an offline numbers property generator, I guess. Unbelievable, guys. Oh, I closed it and it worked. Anyways, all you need to know is that 191 is the 43rd prime number. Here, this was an active shooter drill passed off as real life to the mainstream media, unbeknownst to the masses. But when you understand the language of numerology and see how these people operate, it's pretty clear what's happening. So, active shooter equals 191, the 43rd prime. We already saw the alignments with 43. Now, what about the alphabetic order where active shooter equals 160? This date also had numerology of 16, adding the individual digits together. The governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis, was celebrating his 16th day in office as governor of Florida. I doubt he was celebrating, but you get the point. In reverse reduction, active shooter equals 74. Look at the name of the active shooter, Zephin, 74. What kind of name is this anyway? Zephin, 74. Also notice the 38, which matches the town of Sebring, 74, 38. Just like killing, 74, 38. There's one number we did not look at for active shooter here in the base methods. That would be the number 61. 61 is the 18th prime number, as we can finally see right there. And the date also had numerology of 18. And then look at where the shooting was. SunTrust Bank, 180 in the alphabetic order. In the reverse order, SunTrust Bank equals 144. Look at the name of the shooter, Zephin Xaver, or however you say that, 144. In reduction, the name is 63. Look at the date numerology. 1 plus 23 plus 20 plus 19 equals 63. The life lesson number was 36. 1 plus 23 plus 2 plus 1 plus 9. SunTrust Bank, 36. Taking another look at the town of Sebring where this shooting was, notice how Sebring was settled in 1912 and incorporated in 1913. Well, from 1912 to 2019 is 107 years. And if you include the beginning year, 1913 to 2019 is 107 years. And shooting equals 107. So how perfect that this city has a shooting in the mainstream media in 2019 when it's 107 years old. And really the real kicker here, guys, check this out. The shooting was on January 23rd on the date 1/23. Look at what time the shooting is said to have started. 12:30, like 1, 2, 3. Oh yeah, seems like a coincidence, right? Remember, conspiracy equals 123. But realize, this city, the plan has been to have this city in the news for a long time. The police chief of Sebring is named Carl Haugland. His name equals 123. The mayor of Sebring is named John Scoop. His name equals 123. This shooting on the date, 123. So there's a lot to see. And, you know, those types of alignments, those are not organic. That is manipulated by man. What we have is men in these secret societies who understand how God is operating by the numbers. They're trying to outdo God a little bit. You know, they're trying to one-up him, it seems like. And my theory all along has been the fact that if we are living in an organic matrix and things really do happen by the numbers in our own lives, then wouldn't it make sense to have fake things happen by that same code? Because if indeed the brain is subconsciously picking up on the numerical patterns that occur organically, then if it sees those same patterns in fake events, it seems more in line with reality. And like I said, I don't know exactly what's going on, but we're being lied to at a grand scale. And how strange is it that I can make a website like this, I can sit here and just add numbers and show you what matches, and I get frickin' banned from YouTube. You know, my channel targeted for copyright infringement. My website taken down. It's awful. All right, so one other thing I wanted to talk about a little bit, and thanks to everybody who's still sticking around. This is a pretty meaty live stream. Usually don't get so many viewers live, but I appreciate it. So as part of my break that I've been taking recently, and originally I took like a 4 or 5 day break. Guys, that's not long enough. When your whole mind is thinking numbers all the time, when you're seeing a word and you cannot repress the urge to calculate the gematria in your head, 4 days is not enough to get rid of that, right? And as you see, I've been posting very sparsely since, especially the last couple weeks here. And I'm just trying to get a better idea of what's going on because, you know, again, when I came into this, I thought this was one thing, and now I've discovered it's another. And a large part of me has this concern, this sense of paranoia that what I've been talking about this whole time has been wrong. And I don't believe that. Of course, there is a conspiratorial element to it. We see it every day in the mainstream media. But what I realize is that my work has been inciting the wrong type of emotion in people. What I want to show people is that we're living in this wonderful world that seems to have some sort of design for us. And that's what I want people to take away from this, because to me, that's a positive thing. That tells me that there's not anything to really fear out in the world, that we can all go out and live our lives and be happy, and things will happen around us by the numbers. And I've found that to be the case time and time again. Every significant thing that's happened in my life, if I've ever looked at the numbers, everything pops. Boom, boom, boom. The patterns are so easy to pick up on. And, not everybody, it doesn't mean something to everybody. But for the people it does mean something to, it means a lot. And for me, it reinvented how I see the world. It changed who I am as a person. It changed my life. And, I wasn't always a happy person. I wanted to believe in God. I kind of did. But it wasn't until I found this study that really the light turned on for me and I realized what I need to be doing, which is sharing with people who were in a similar state of mind that I was several years ago, that there is something greater to this world. There's something more to live for. And I've noticed that a lot of my work recently has been inciting fear in people, concern, paranoia. They're wondering when the next disaster is going to happen. And I don't want people to think that, because if everybody's thinking about the next disaster, then we're probably going to get another disaster. And this is along the lines of treating reality as a type of shared consciousness, that our thoughts can invoke change in the real world, and that's true. And I get why people say that it's new age bullshit when they hear someone say, oh, we can meditate ourselves to health, and if we just think the right thoughts, things will get better. Of course it takes action. But that action begins with thoughts. It begins with seeing things in a certain way. Those thoughts then breed the necessary action to create the change. And right now we're living in a pretty screwed up world. Just north of the border in Canada, you can go to jail for calling someone the wrong gender pronoun. You can go to jail for that. That's insane. They're talking about making vaccinations mandatory now to everybody. That's insane. New York just legalized abortion up to the point of birth. And I don't want to get into a pro-life rant because most people don't care. They already have their opinion. But you're telling me you can legally murder a child that could be born the next day? That's fucking crazy. And I've been trying to cut back on the swearing lately, but holy shit. Like, this world is insane. And it's getting more and more demonic with all of these evil acts that we commit. Because here's the thing, guys. What they're doing is tricking people into committing evil acts, harnessing negative karma for themselves so that they cannot ascend. And when I say ascend, whether it's you're raising in consciousness, awareness, intelligence, maybe it means coming back again in a better life. I don't know. But with this whole abortion thing, they know abortion is murder. They know that there's a living, breathing person in the womb. They know this. They, the powers that be, the elites. And they know that when murder is committed, it creates evil, negative karma in the world. And that's what we're seeing play out. That's why this agenda, even though it's advancing more slowly than they were hoping, it is still advancing. And we just need to be able to recognize it. So literally, regardless of what you think about abortion, if you think it's okay to kill a baby one day before that baby would be naturally born, you have been brainwashed. You have been conditioned. It's crazy. Governor Cuomo in New York says that pro-lifers aren't even welcome in the state because politics isn't about, discussing things and understanding and compromising anymore. It's about war with each other. The politicization of our media, of our, everything in sports, television, music, everything's being over-politicized, and they want us to be at war with one another. Simple Truth TV, what if abortion can kill the mother? Or what if birth can kill the mother is what you're asking. I'll be the first to say there are exceptions. Okay? I don't know what I think, like if a woman was raped, right? And she becomes pregnant. Does that woman have to have that baby? I mean, that's tough. That's a tough thing for me to talk about, right? I don't know. I mean, the way I see it, it's murder, but it's also rape, and that's one of the worst things that can happen to somebody. If the life of the woman is in danger, then absolutely, abortion can be an option. And maybe Rebecca, who's a very stout believer, she doesn't believe that. I guess, you can make the argument, well, you're just saying the mother could die, whereas if you commit abortion, the baby will die, right? So therefore, the murder's happening instead of just letting someone die. So these are interesting thoughts, everybody. A real mother maybe would give her life for her unborn child. Maybe that's true. Apparently in New York, not many would, but I digress. So it's touchy. And, when you talk about things where it's like life and death with the mother, look, I'm not going to sit here and, I don't know. This isn't what I wanted to talk about on the live stream, was abortion, but it's been in the news lately, and it needs to be addressed because the laws are getting way too loose. And I hope it doesn't spread because it's awful. So another thing I was going to talk about, while I've been taking time away from this and focusing a little bit more on my real life, getting back to my roots, things that I really enjoy doing, got myself a drum set again. Haven't played drums in a long time. So I'd been seeing somebody, and this somebody came into my life 100% by the numbers. I have the calculator set up here so that you can't actually see the name, because I'm not going to go sharing people's names in my real life with you. But I do want to show you the numbers, You'll just have to take my word for it that all this is legit, right? So my name is Derek, which sums to 43 and 25. Her name sums to 43 and 97, the 25th prime number. In the reverse order, her name sums to 119, just her first name. And 119, right? This one's always interesting. When I was born, my mom's name, her name still to this day, sums to 119 in reverse reduction. My ex-girlfriend, who I dated for over 7 years, her name sums to 119 in reverse reduction, and I met her on November 9th, which is written 11/9. So this year I meet this girl also with the 119. Pretty interesting. A couple months ago, I made a video on the organic matrix. Right when we started dating, her best friend was killed by her estranged husband, an abusive guy, and he was out on GPS monitoring, found a way over there, and anyway, she is very numerically related to that friend. Their birthdays were 1 year, 109 days apart. The synchronicities are amazing. The date I met this girl was July 20th, the date of the moon landing. Think about how much of my work surrounds the moon. On that night, I made a joke about drinking a moon man, sitting on a moon mat. Her last name equals 170 in reverse. This is the Jewish Gematria of moon, 170. Her first and last name equals 289. 289 is 17 times 17. Freemasonry founded under a full moon in 1717. Full moon in Hebrew equals 289. Her name in ordinal equals 197. Think about how often I talk about the Metonic cycle. Metonic cycle, 197, which is a period of 19 years, which sums to 197. And this is because every 19 years, 7 of them have 13 lunar phases. 197. So, yeah, her name, 197. Her birthday was May 5th. Metonic cycle equals 5-5, just like her name, 197. Yesterday we broke up, and yesterday was 127, January 27th. Now, the strange thing about this is that I actually used numbers to find closure. Okay, I had a little rough time last night. Woke up, wasn't feeling too great about things. It wasn't going too well. We're not great for each other. We're very different people. So when I met her, I didn't know her full name, but eventually I figured it out. We found out her real full name. Her full name equals 243 in the alphabetic order. Her friend who was murdered equals 243 in the reverse order. They were best friends. They met as roommates, by the way. Roommates equals 119. Anyways, look at her name in reduction. 117 and 144. The very first time we went out was at a restaurant called Senior Soul, which sums to 127, or I'm sorry, 117, just like her name. Senior Soul, 117. The last bar we ended up at, where the whole thing had to be called off, was Izzy Hops. And look at this, alphabetic order, Izzy Hops equals 144. Her full name, once again, like I said, 117 and 144. So our first date was at a restaurant with ordinal gematria of 117. Our last date was at an ordinal gematria of 144. But that's not all. The first day we went out was November 23rd. Yeah, I know I have short relationships. Get over it. Think about the date November 23rd, written 23/11. Look at the address of the the bar that I was at, Izzy Hops. The address of this bar is 2311. That was the date that we first went out. Oops. Oh boy. Sorry about this. I got more to show you. I just gotta get my screen back here. All right. So there's a couple things there. Also, in the reverse alphabetic order, this bar, Izzy Hops, equals 72. The date we first went out had 72 numerology. And this was the same week we found out her friend died. Her friend's last name had gematria of 72, her last name. And her first and last name had 72 forwards and backwards. Oh, one more thing. That 144, I mentioned how the bar sums to 144. Her full name equals 144. If you go back to the date that I broke up with my ex who I dated for 7 years, look at this. It was 144 weeks prior. And all of this, once again, I do not run the numbers on dates ahead of time. I just don't do it. To me, it's kind of weird. Maybe I should be. I don't know. But to me, the fact that I can live my life naturally and all this stuff happens anyway is pretty significant. So, yeah, it's kind of funny for me to share stuff like that. Like, it feels weird, right? I mean, how does this all work? Why does it work like it does? I feel like it works because we're meant to see that it works, or at least some of us are. You know, I shouldn't be able to just punch things in and just get these alignments like this. It's too weird. But once again, you know, I ran the numbers, and we were talking last night about how, you know, we got along real well. We always had good times together. But with what each other is looking for in a partner, probably more so what she's looking for than what I am. I'm not too picky, right? Like, I don't need a girl who understands numerology and gematria. right? I could be single for my whole life if I was waiting for some girl who's excited about numerology as I am. So I don't care. I have all you beautiful people I can talk to and chat with and talk about numbers and get that out of my system. I don't need that, right? Um, and the conversation got to the point where it's like, well, hey, everything happens for a reason, right? And she's like, everything happens for a reason, right? That's what you say. And I said, yes. I mean, that's kind of what I talk about with numerology, is that we're picking up on patterns that say there's something more going on. And if there's something more behind what we're experiencing, then perhaps there's a reason for it. And that it's all meant to happen, that it's here for a reason. So I agreed. I said, absolutely, everything does happen for a reason. And even if we just hang out for a couple months, get to know each other, we add certain things to each other's lives, we get new perception on things, that's still a great, beautiful thing. And, imagine the look on her face today when I came back and said, oh, yeah, I ran the numbers and found closure. Ha! But how amazing is it anyway, I mean, like, I felt pretty fine about everything. Like, I had no intention of live streaming today, feeling like I did. But then I came across this, and I was just like, you know what? This is the kind of thing I want to share with people. I'm tired of doing videos about people dying, man. I hate that. Sorry, I kind of lost track of the chat for a little bit. I think the abortion thing got a little out of control there. Look, you guys can. Here's the thing, right? I like debate. I like arguing. What really bothers me is when someone truly deep down believes 100% that God is on their side in the argument. And I see that in Rebecca's messages. God says this, Yeshua says this. Have you been in a life and death situation? I mean, if a doctor tells you you are going to die if this baby is born, I mean, I wish everything was that black and white. I really do. But it's really not. And, not everybody sees the same importance in the same God that everyone else does. So, yeah, Marion, look, we've been conditioned definitely to think something bad is going to happen. And, hey, deep down, the part of me that's into mysticism wonders if successfully implanting that idea into our head is what actually is going to cause it, or at least allow it to happen to some degree. I don't know if anything bad really will happen. Are we really going to lose all our power? Are we going to have a big blackout? Is everything going to reset? Are we all going to lose all our money? I'm 33 now. I've had a retirement account for a number of years now. And I knew the stock market was going to hit a hard patch last year. And, I got hit by it. I lost like 10% of my money in there, and that sucks. It would suck a lot more had I been in the market for 30 years. But I think the conspiracy is devaluing our money. I don't think it's taking it away from us. This money that we're putting into retirement now, it's not going to be worth the same amount of money it is when we retire. That's obvious. It's been like that for decades. So by tanking the market just a little bit, they can devalue our currency. In fact, this recent slip in the market, my dad is 65 years old, or 64. He turned 65 in March. He's supposed to be retiring in 65. The man works in a factory, Laddish, or ATI Laddish in Cudahy. 65 years old. He's a millwright. The man should be able to retire by now. And he was planning on retiring, but he lost 10% of his money in the stock slide. So now he's talking about working a few more months. And that sucks, man, because I'd like to see my dad enjoy life finally, And he's been having a rough patch with it. Got in a little trouble last week, and I don't know where I'm going with this story, guys, but something that's on my mind. So, looking more at my posts here, I don't really have anything in particular I want to talk about. Um, I was doing the podcast very consistently throughout the year of 2018 and really slowed that down. I think in like August or September I stopped doing it, or October. And really, it was just so much work. The stuff wasn't spreading as quickly as I was hoping it would be. And I just want to do a little more for myself in life than just rambling off numbers. A lot of this work, I hope that the people who are reading my posts, learning from my work, I hope that at least some of you feel a little bit of a responsibility to build on what I'm sharing and discussing. Because I don't want to be doing these posts when I'm 60 years old, talking about how the weather in a certain city matches the gematria of a city on the date with matching numerology. I don't want to be doing crap like that. I want other people to be aware of it and helping other people share it. So I guess what I'm saying is that I don't necessarily want everyone to start a blog and start talking about numbers, because most blogs are really bad. They don't make any sense. They don't have any flow to them. I was not a good blogger when I started. I think I'm pretty decent now, but there's not a whole lot to compare it to, right? I mean, Zach and I are doing similar things. I feel like we come at it from a different enough of an angle where our posts are vastly different on the same topic almost every single time. And in regards to that, I may be looking to monetize this work a little bit, and I don't feel like I should apologize for that. The website does cost money, and up to this point, it has been paid for by donations. People have been very kind. But with the amount of time, I can't continue to invest as much time as I am, missing out on things in my real life. I can't continue to do that without having something to show for it. So I may be creating a Patreon. I might be looking to put a couple banners on the website. Maybe sell some Gematrinator gear, stuff like that. I just don't know. Like, I don't necessarily want to quit my job and do this, because I feel like I can do my job, do a good job, come home, take my mind off of it, and have a healthy life, right? I'm not so sure I can continue to run numbers all day, step away from the computer, go back to real life, and enjoy everything like I should be doing. Because this stuff will drive you mad. It'll drive you up the wall, and you don't know where to stop. So yeah, that's mostly what I wanted to touch on in this video. I just had a few random things on my mind, and I just really want to talk more about real life and how it happens by the numbers, man. It's amazing. Like I said, every single time something significant in my life happens, you just quickly type stuff in, you look at the dates, and it's all right there. And I don't know, is this only happening to me? Can't possibly be, So I just hope that people are picking up on the techniques that I use, the types of measurements, the very basic, simple gematria, what date numerologies are important. It's always been the base 4 ciphers. There is definitely something significant about Jewish gematria. To a lesser extent, English extended. These are your ciphers. You don't need anything out of the base 4, really. And then when you're looking at dates, you're looking at durations and the numerologies. And I've recently changed this menu so that it shows what I believe to be the most significant date numerologies on top. The full numerology, life lesson number, reduced, standard, tiny numerology, what day of the year. That's all you got to look at, guys, and it just pops. And it would be one thing if, like, one or two things happen in my life by these numbers, but it's literally everything. So the idea that this is only happening to me doesn't register. I'm sure it's happening to all of you too. You might not be paying close enough attention. You might not be taking enough time to really study and understand what numbers you're looking at. So I guess that's my challenge to the decoders is stop looking at Seattle. Stop trying to figure out when Seattle's going to get run over by a tsunami. Stop trying to figure out when a blackout is going to level the entire nation and when we're all going to be surviving off of our food in our basements. Go out, live your life, enjoy people, get to know people, learn about them. I'll be the first to tell you a lot of people suck, you know. And Gematria numerology has not exactly been healthy for improving my perception of other people. I guess that's another negative thing I've drawn from this that I'm trying to get away from. Because through this, I've discovered how connected we all are. On the other hand, I've discovered how ignorant and foolish many people also are. And, yeah, go out, live your life, enjoy things, have fun. And then when something significant happens, run the numbers on it and see the alignments and understand that it was meant to happen. So, I think that'll do it for the video. Thanks for everyone who stuck out the entire stream and listened to my whole, all my shenanigans. And I don't need anyone's sympathy. Like, you guys got to remember, I am the king of the 1 or 2 month relationship. Like, that's been my whole life, except for the 1 7-year relationship I had. You know, women and I have a very interesting relationship. Like, often they find that they're drawn to me, and then they get to know me, and they're just like, there's something else going on here. And sometimes they think I'm weird. Sometimes they don't feel smart enough. And I just have a difficult time connecting with those people, with attractive women, you know, for long-term goals. And that's fine, you know. I still got plenty of friends. Everything's cool. I'm happy about where I am and who I am. And I'm just not worried about that because this earth is not our home anyway, right? It'd be nice to share it with somebody, and I'm sure one day I will. Again. But exactly, I'm a nerd just like you guys, you know? And I'm not going to set it down. I'm not going to lie about who I am. I'm not going to change who I am because I think people might accept me more. You know, there's a lot of people who find significance in what I do, and what's so wild about the fact that, you know, some people don't find any meaning in it is that so many people have reached out to me saying that their life has been given meaning because of what I do. And of course, you know, most people can't understand that, but to me that's been a big driving force. So, all right. Thanks to everyone for tuning in. God bless each and every one of you. Stay strong, stay true to yourself, stay true to your feelings in this wicked world. Because those of us who speak truth and want goodness for the whole of humanity, we're being ostracized at a level that has not been seen before. And we should not tolerate the type of rhetoric that I referred to earlier from Andrew Cuomo, saying that people who disagree with us are not allowed in our state. The type of divisive rhetoric that's being spread amongst the people, you know, when you see friends arguing, whether it's Facebook or real life, about politics, call them out. You know, ask them why they're arguing with each other. Do they realize that this is the point? They want division among the masses. And so many people are willingly giving in. I had a discussion with someone a couple weeks ago. They were talking about Donald Trump and blah, 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 Trump and blah, 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 Trump. And I was like, yeah, he said that because he's an actor. It's a stage show. The production is called America, and nobody seems to be in on the joke. And what shocked me is that he said, yeah, I know, but... Well, do you really know? Do you really understand what's happening and how your mind is being manipulated to think these things? Clearly not, because it's bothering you emotionally. So When you see it, call it out. Call for unity. Get away from this mainstream garbage, and I hope that more people are. Because we've done a lot to show how much bullshit it is. So thanks to everyone again. Bobby for moderating when things got a little rough there. Hermetic Wolf, love you, brother. Thanks for jumping in. And Rebecca, you're always here. Much love, regardless of whatever fire sits between you and other people who watch the channel. So, all right, guys, that's all. I'll stop boring you. Check out the link to Discord. Bobby just dropped it once again in the chat. Thanks to everybody for watching. Peace, love, God bless. Adios.